I'm striving to get rich. That's why I almost went 2 years without buying shoes and fits. Things change now. My mom hearing me with my music and she look a little proud.
Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And today is Tuesday, so you guys know what that means. It's another power ranking video. Now, this one is going to be just a little bit different. I've switched up the tiers a bit from like grade school grades, A, B, C, D, F, instead of that S, A, B, C thing. I just changed it to make it to actual school grades so you can get an actual grade. And another thing is, I know the Bills and Titans play tonight, which is obscenely strange because of the pandemic is affecting the NFL schedule. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to give my honest power rankings of each team, the Bills and also the Titans as well, even going into tonight's contest. But enough with that said, be sure to take a like on the video, leave that like, comment, and also, we are still on a 1,000 subscriber grind. So, whatever you guys do, stop what you're doing now, click that subscribe button, and also click the notification bell so you will not miss a single video that I post. But without further ado, let's dive into these rankings. First up, we have Washington football team. I'm going to have them at a D, even though I'm still a bit frustrated that they replaced Dwayne Haskins, but it was great, absolutely great to see Alex Smith back on the field. It's been a long time coming. And this Washington team, it's just not there. It's just not there. Next up, we had San Francisco, who got absolutely demolished by the Miami Dolphins. An unexpected beatdown. I'm going to have them at a C because, number one, the injuries. Jimmy G, this time in against the Dolphins, was not effective at all. He was not effective at all. The defense is hampered by injuries, and it's really starting to show. Even against Ryan Fitzpatrick, it's starting to show. This 49ers team, if it plays anything like last week, it might be in some trouble. Next up, we have my squad, the Chicago Bears. I'm going to have them at a B. It was a great win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Thursday night. But I feel the Chicago Bears team, the defense is very, very good. The defense is very, very good. I still have questions on the Bears offensively. I still have questions about this offensive line. I still have questions about the running game, which I previously said and said numerous times on the channels about the Bears. The running game is just null and void at this point. And for this Bears team to be a true contender, I think they have to get some sort of a running game going. They have to. They have to get a running game going. Next up, we have the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals. This team is not as bad. I'm going to have them here, but this team is a team that, number one, it plays hard. It's just a lot of the squad is inexperienced and a lot of the squad is young. But watching Cincinnati Bengal games, you could tell this team plays absolutely hard. It's not one of those teams that's struggling because they are just bad. I think they're struggling because of their experience and also their youth. And also along with a second-year head coach who was brought in to try to bring things up in Zach Taylor. So I don't think this Bengals team is as bad as his record says. I think it's brighter things in their future watching this team play. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills, who are undefeated. I'm going to have the Bills here. Josh Allen has proven to be a very, very good quarterback. This defense is absolutely special. And matter of fact, depending on how they play tonight, I can move them up to my A tier. But it all depends on how they look against the Titans tonight. But this Buffalo Bills team, I still feel they're on track to win the AFC East. I really feel they're on track to win the AFC East. Still to have them on track. Next, we have the Denver Broncos. This team is just not very good. and also Drew Lock out, and they just have a lot going on with this Broncos team. I think it's more hampered by injuries than anything. This Broncos team is not necessarily a horrible football team, but it's just they're riddled with a lot of injuries, and it's really starting to show. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns. I am going to have the Cleveland Browns at a B tier. It was a very good win against a very good Indianapolis Colts team. Baker Mayfield is really starting to come into his own, and I feel they're really starting to use him in rollouts and things like that. The Browns' defense is better than what I thought they would be. This defense is not necessarily a bad defense. It's room for improvement, especially along the front four. Outside of Myles Garrett, it's not really been that big of a pass rush. They've been finding ways to free up Myles Garrett, which has been the smartest thing you can ever do because he's one of the better pass rushers in this league, and he leads the league in sacks. So this Browns team is finally starting to live up to their potential. They're finally starting to live up to their potential. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who my Bears beat. We're going to have them at a B. This team is not bad. They still have some injuries as well. O.J. Howard being down for the year really hurts. Godwin not playing the last 2 weeks hurts. But like I said before, and I'll say again, I still have questions about this Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary. The reason they looked good against the Bears is, number one, the Bears did not establish any sort of a running game against the Buccaneers defense. So it made it easier for the pass rushers to tee off and get to Nick Foles. So the pass rush is good. The front seven has been very good, and it's been better than what I expected the front seven to be. But Carlton Davis played a solid game against the Bears, but I just think that this secondary is room to be questioned, in my opinion. Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals. I am going to put the Arizona Cardinals at a B tier. They're still playing really, really good football. Kyler Murray, I think, will be the offensive player of the year he's having so far. Even though it was against a god-awful Jets team, a win is a win in this league. And Kyler Murray, I think, has found a very, very good relationship with DeAndre Hopkins and this Cardinal offense. So I really feel that the Arizona Cardinals team is, number one, living up to some expectations. I expected them to be a very good football team. And Kyler Murray is playing absolutely good football, along with Fitz and also DeAndre Hopkins, which has been a steal for them, getting them this offseason. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. I watched that game last night, and Justin Herbert has been looking like the real deal so far this year. It was a heartbreaking loss last night to the New Orleans Saints, but who are you to go against Drew Brees down the stretch? 9 times out of 10, Drew Brees is going to come out on top of that. But they're a team that is riddled by injuries. Joey Bosa's been in and out of the lineup. Melvin Ingram's out. Derwin James is out. Austin Eckler is out. Keenan Allen did not play most of the game last night with a back injury. And this team is still competitive, and this team is still in football games. Despite their record, this team plays some really, really solid football and has been playing some really, really good football. And Justin Herbert is starting to look like the real deal so far. Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs. Despite their loss to the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday, I'm still going to have them as one of the top tier teams in the league. And it's starting to show that KC relies on this offense just a little bit too much. It's one of the things I had suspected going into the season is how will this defense respond? And so far, they have some solid games, but I think against the Raiders, it was not that good. It was not that good. Receivers were getting open. The Vegas Raiders really took shots downfield, and it really worked for them. So even though despite the loss, I'm still going to have Kansas City as a top-tier team. Next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to put them at a C tier, not just based off the loss. I just really feel that Phillip Rivers has been solid, but I still think there's holes to be left in their passing game. T.Y. Hilton has not necessarily looked like the T.Y. Hilton of 2018. He's not been the same receiver. And outside of T.Y. Hilton, they don't have too many weapons on the offensive side of the ball for Phillip Rivers to play with, at least in my opinion. The running game has been solid. The defense is still one of the better defenses in the NFL. But I feel that this Colts passing game is something missing there. I just don't know what I can put a finger on and say it's missing this or it's missing that. But I just feel the passing game of the Indianapolis Colts is missing something. Next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys. Once again, that is so unfortunate to what happened to Dak Prescott. I was literally watching Red Zone and watched that injury live. And the moment he started grabbing his leg like that, I just knew it wasn't something good. But then when they showed the angle, it was horrible. But despite that, prayers for you, Dak. Prayers for you, Dak. Get well soon, my brother. Get well soon. And let's talk about this team. The defense is still, let's just face it, this defense is not very good. It's interesting to see how this offense will move along without Dak. I think they will commit more to a running game. I'm going to have the Dallas Cowboys here. And this is solely based on offense because their defense is god-awful. This defense is god-awful. Jalen Smith did have a really good game against the Giants, but this defense of the Cowboys is not good. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to have them here. How they looked against the San Francisco 49ers, it was very impressive. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It was very, very impressive. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he had one of his weeks. I'll just say he had one of his weeks because he has weeks where he looks god-awful, then he has weeks where he looks absolutely amazing. And last week against the Niners, he looked absolutely amazing. So, and this Dolphins team is not necessarily a very bad football team. It's kind of like the Bengals. They're kind of inexperienced and they're young. So I feel once they start to get everything clicking, you can see this Dolphins team improve. But as of right now, I think they're just average in the middle of the pack. Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know what to make of this Eagles team. I really don't. Chase Claypool had a day on him. And I just don't know what to make of this Eagles team because some weeks they look like, wow, they look solid. But then other weeks they look god-awful. It's just, this is another team that has a lot of injuries, especially on offense with Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey being out. I just don't know what to make of this Eagles team. Next, we have the Falcons. They're at the bottom. Just letting go of Quinn and Dimitrov, I think, is going to really get things going for this organization. But this Falcons team cannot hold leads. They don't run the ball consistently enough when they do have leads. The defense is not very good. Offense can score points, but you can score so many points, but the defense is letting those points right back. They had like I said in my Quinn Fire video, they had the best game defensively against the Panthers, but I still think this defense is not good at all. Next, we have the Giants. I'm going to put them at a D. They play hard. The defense is playing a lot better, but their problem is, I think, turnovers. Daniel Jones is kind of reflecting a little bit of Eli, as in a lot of turnovers for this Giants offense, and I feel they would have a better record than 0-5 if it wasn't for so many turnovers. But I'm going to put them there. I'm sorry. They're 0-5. I'm going to put them in at F. They're better than what their record says. Saquon being out hurts, but Devontae Freeman really had a solid game, and I just feel if it wasn't for so many of the turnovers, this Giants team would have at least 2 wins right now. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to put them, it's hard to say, but I'm going to put them at a D. Gardner Minshew has played a lot better. I just feel this defense of the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's not the same anymore. It's not the same anymore. The offense has been better than what I expected coming into the season. But they play hard. I just don't feel this Jaguars defense can hold up enough to really let the offense kind of find their rhythm throughout games. And when they're behind, you're going to be forced to throw the ball. And I think this Jaguars team should be more of a running football team because you're going to have to do that to keep that defense off of the field. So next up, we have the worst team in football, and it's the New York Jets. They're god-awful. They're terrible. This Jets team is terrible. It should be an extra tier on this list just for Jets alone. They're god-awful. They are absolutely horrific. Let's move on. I don't even want to talk about them too long. They're trash. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions. They had a bye, so I really didn't. You didn't get to see them, but I still feel Matt Stafford is the most underrated quarterback in football. He's just not on a very good football team. So I'm going to put the Lions here. Next, we got the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to put them in the A tier as much as it hates me to say this as a Bears fan. They had a bye week as well, but this Packers team is hot. Maybe we'll see how that bye weeks affects them, especially how they've been playing offensively earlier in the year. But this Packers team is hot. I hate to even admit that, being a Bears fan. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to put the Carolina Panthers here. I just really don't feel that. This Panthers team is not bad. They looked a lot better. It's just still, it's questions a little bit to be answered defensively. Teddy Bridgewater's looked very solid so far. They're starting finally some rhythm with Matt Rule as head coach. This Panthers team was not going to be a very bad football team either. Their team is just right. I think it's right at average. Honestly, DJ Moore has been a really good find for them. He's been playing really well. So is Robbie Anderson. I think the dynamic of this offense will change once Christian McCaffrey comes back into the lineup. So I'm going to leave them at an average football team right now. Next up, we have the New England Patriots. Excuse me. They also did not play this week due to the pandemic. I'm still going to have this team here. I still don't think they're very bad. 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to get Cam Newton back this week. Still not sure about Stephon Gilmore, but this Patriots team is not as bad. I just think the impact of losing Cam Newton last Monday night against the Chiefs really hurt them. But I feel with Cam Newton in the fold, this team is still a very good football team. It's just a question to see if Stephon Gilmore comes back either this week or next week. Next up, we have the Raiders. I'm going to put the Raiders here. Josh Jacobs is absolutely special. Derek Carr has been playing really good football. And Henry Ruggs has been an absolute steal. He's been a stud wide receiver. Nelson Aguilar finally hanging on to the football. His Raiders team is a whole lot better. And then you also have Darren Waller, who's been playing excellent football at the tight end position. His offensive line has been firing off and been holding up. So, and the defense has been making plays. This Raiders team is starting to finally click under Gruden. And hanging up 40 against the Patrick Mahomes-led team shows you that this Raiders team can go places. They can. I'm not saying deep runs, but you can see this Raiders team is a very, very competitive and a really good football team. Next, we have the LA Rams. I'm going to put the Rams in a B tier as well. Offensively, they're finding a lot of rhythm. Defensively, I mean, Aaron Donald is just an absolute beast. He is an absolute beast. One of the best, if not the best, defensive player in football. I'm just calling it what it is. And Jared Goff, and I think they're finally starting to find some rhythm offensively with Goff and the running game. So the Rams, they've been playing a lot better football than what I thought coming into this season. So next we have the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to have them at an A as well. Lamar in the running game is really getting going. Mark Andrews is having big games, especially last week against the Bengals. His defense is opportunistic and creating a lot of turnovers, which I feel is their biggest strength, is creating turnovers and creating havoc on opposing offensives. And Lamar Jackson has been looking really good since that loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. The running game with J.K. Dobbins from the Ohio State and Mark Ingram, along with Jackson's ability to use his legs as well, has been very, very good for this Baltimore Ravens football team. Next, we have the New Orleans Saints. Great win last night against the Chargers. A much-needed win, too, because if I felt the Saints were going to drop that game, I think it was going to put them in a real bad spot. They're probably going to get Michael Thomas back this week, so I feel that will really open up the Saints' offense even more down the field because they've been struggling to throw the ball down the field more this season. But they've been taking what the defenses have given them. Alvin Kamara has proven to be one of the best backs in football and definitely the best weapon in football. And this defense is struggling in the red zone, which is going to have to be shored up. The Saints defense has struggled in the red zone, especially in that first half last night against the Chargers and Justin Herbert. So the corners have to hold up. Pass rush is getting home more often but I still think the secondary needs to hold up better for the Saints team to be successful, and they do get Michael Thomas back. Next, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson for MVP. Russell Wilson for MVP. Because at points of this game, it looked like the Vikings really started to get the Seahawks number, but the Seahawks came out and scored 21 points in almost 2 minutes. And the drive that he had to come back and win that football game, Russell Wilson for MVP. My question about the Seahawks team is on defense. Their defense is below 25th in the NFL. So I feel if this offense doesn't score points, I think this Seahawks team can be in trouble in games. They're still a really good football team. The defense has just not been playing excellent football, but it's not the same good defense as we used to seeing from Seattle. But Russell Wilson has been playing out of his mind so far this season. But a recipe sort of was laid by the Vikings to beat the Seahawks team, which I feel is play clock control and keep Russell Wilson off the field. But Russell Wilson was my MVP pick going into the year, and he's still my MVP right now, the way he's playing football. Next, we have the Steelers. I'm going to put them at an A as well. This Steelers football team has been playing excellent football. They really found a weapon in Chase Claypool. He scored 4 TDs against the Philadelphia Eagles. Big Ben is looking like he's back, and he's becoming the younger Big Ben. And the running game with Snell and Connor has been very effective. The pass rush led by T.J. Watt has been really getting there, and the secondary has been making plays, led by Hayden and Fitzpatrick. So the Steelers team still undefeated, and I still feel that this is one of the better teams in the NFL. Next, we have the Houston Texans finally get the first win of the season against the Jacksonville Jaguars team. This team, the offense, you could tell misses DeAndre Hopkins, but I think the firing of Bill O'Brien might light a small bit of a fire under this Texans team. Deshaun Watson found his rhythm last week against the Jaguars. So, and the defense really looked good, and they made some plays too. So I just think the firing of Bill O'Brien is going to light a fire under this Texans team. Next, we have the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to put here, we haven't really seen them play football in 2 weeks. We finally get to see them play football tonight. They've been out due to the pandemic and the outbreak throughout the course of their organization. But from what you've seen so far this season, this team has been one of the better teams in football. Tannehill's been playing really good football. The running game is really getting going. And the defense has been playing really good. So you're just waiting to see tonight how the layoff will really affect this Titans team. You will really get to see tonight how things are affected by their outbreak within the course of their organization and the players that come down with the virus. So I'm going to leave Titans there undefeated. I don't think they're gonna really have enough to beat a Bills team tonight, who's still in some rhythm. But for now, I'm gonna leave the Titans at a B, and for the Minnesota Vikings, the last team on this list, I'm going to have them in a D. Kirk Cousins looked really solid against the Seahawks. You had a guy like Dalvin Cook, who's just been announced he's had an adductor strain, but he's looked real good. They had Madison in, has looked very good. The decision to go for it on 4th down, honestly, I think it was the best move to try to keep that game out of Russell Wilson's hands, because even then you kick a field goal, you still give Russell Wilson time to go down and drive on you. So I think I like that decision. This Vikings defense has been hampered with not being the same defense. You have Danielle Hunter, who's been out for injury. Pass rush is not really getting home. The linebacker core made a lot of good plays against the Seahawks, but this Vikings team just cannot squeak out the closer wins for some odd reason. And it's not a bad football team at all. It's just the defense is really starting to fail them at certain points, and it showed in our last drive against the Seahawks. But enough of that. That's all I've got for you guys today. Be sure to like the video, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe to the channel. We are still on the 1,000 subscriber grind, and I appreciate the support from you guys, and I would not be at this point right now without the love and support from you guys. So if you're one of these people that's gotten to this point in the video and are not subscribed, go down below and click that subscribe button and leave a like on the video. That really helps the channel to grow. But that's all I've got for you guys. APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys have a great and excellent day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
I wanna say thank you to my mom and my daddy for making love the night that you had me. Wanna thank my friends, my sister, and my brother.